Why should they trust Google, an advertising network, to tell them how to allocate their marketing budget?
We asked ourselves the same question when we were building this. The answer is like, we aren't asking for blind trust. That's why we made Meridian open source. And that was super intentional when we were designing the product, because we know that anything coming from Google will have that extra perception. And we wanted to give users the opportunity to look under the hood and validate for themselves that they believe in the methodology as we do.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Google's Ads DevCast. I'm your host Corey Lucino, and today we're talking all about Meridian. Last week we had a special bonus episode where we covered a bunch of topics that we heard about at GML. This week we're going to continue where we left off, talking about Meridian. But we're going to dive into the specifics about what the Meridian product is, the recent changes in it, and why you should care. To help us with the details on all of this, we're going to be joined by the Meridian PM, Katie Monroe, and our resident developer relations engineer expert, Jeff Lee. As always, our survey is at goo.goal/adc-survey-e6. That all said, let's bring in our experts. Katie, Jeff, welcome to the show. So excited to have you both on.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Corey. Excited to chat with you today.
Awesome. Well, why don't we start with some quick introductions? I guess, Katie, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I would love to. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie. I'm the product manager for Meridian. I've been at Google about 6 years now, with the latter half of those working on all things media effectiveness measurement. So very excited to be here with you guys. I'll pass it to Jeff.
Yeah, my name's Jeff. I've been a developer relations engineer for Google Meridian for the past year or so. And I basically focus on making advanced causal inference and statistics accessible to a broad audience. I'm a bit of a stats nerd and data nerd at heart. Before this, spent 5 years in the applied AI and ML space at Microsoft. And yeah, very happy to be here today.
Super excited for you both to be here. Meridian is a really exciting set of products, and I'm very excited to kind of interview you both and get to learn a little bit. So we have a lot of Meridian knowledge in this group, so why don't we start with what this product is and what it solves for. Now, I'm no expert on this, but my understanding about what Meridian is that it's Google's marketing mix modeling framework in MMM. Katie and Jeff, for those who don't know what that means, including myself, can you help us out? What actually is Meridian?
Yeah, it's a really fair question, Corey. You can think of Meridian as your marketing measurement North Star. At its core, it's a holistic measurement tool that helps marketers understand the true impact of their ad dollars. So it takes all your historical media across every single channel, digital, linear TV, billboards, considers the factors outside of ads like pricing or seasonality that will affect your sales, and it consolidates this into one unified view of ROI. You can even bring in other measurement data outside of an MMM like lift test to help tune your Meridian model. So the more high quality data you're bringing in, the stronger the model will be for making these high stakes decisions that marketers have to make about where should I actually spend my next dollar.
Exactly. So, basically it's looking at the whole ecosystem. So, what makes Meridian a modern renaissance of MMM is that it's basically looking for more headroom. So basically looks at historical patterns using advanced math, things like ad stock and hill curves, to tell you exactly where you have more room to push for more budget to drive revenue. And basically it also tells you where you've essentially hit a point of diminishing returns. And most importantly, I would say it does this using aggregated data, so it's completely privacy-centric.
Okay, let's pause for a second there. So ad stock and hill curves, and you also mentioned the math being used here. Can you dive a little bit deeper into those and help us understand what exactly those are?
Yeah, great question. So I would say these mathematical models are really predicated on two core assumptions that are universally accepted in the world of advertising. So first is the effectiveness of an ad. So basically the effectiveness diminishes as you increase spend. So that's essentially what we refer to as the hill curve. So basically you can't spend infinitely and get the same return per ad dollar. So eventually you essentially saturate the market. The second assumption is that there's essentially like a lagged effect between seeing an ad and actually making that purchase. So that's essentially what we call ad stock. So, for example, right, if I see like a car commercial on Tuesday, I may wait a while before actually making that decision to purchase a car. So I would say ad stock mathematically models that lingering effect or decay of the advertising over time.
Yeah, Jeff's spot on. And to give you a real world example of what we mean by finding headroom using these curves, imagine you're a marketer and you're running a massive display campaign. Your return on investment or return on ad spend looks amazing. So your immediate instinct is, let's just keep pouring money into it. But Meridian might look at historical data and tell you, actually, you're hitting a wall here. The next 100,000 you spend on a display campaign is only going to give you half the return of the previous 100,000.
Got it. Okay, so it's mapping out the point of diminishing returns.
Yeah, exactly. So it might show you that instead of forcing that money into display, you actually have 20% more efficiency or headroom, as we're calling it, sitting over in YouTube or connected TV campaigns. So it really stops you from overinvesting in saturated channels and helps you ensure that you're getting the most out of your marketing investment in the future.
That sounds really useful. Honestly, it sounds like something every advertiser should be considering. But these models have been around for a while, right? Why is Google just pushing into this space so hard right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say it's really the evolution of the web and the current regulatory environment. So just with like more noise and less signal, I'd say measurement's really evolving into a privacy first reality. So with the deprecation of third party cookies, marketers, they really just can't stitch together every single user journey from a click to a checkout anymore.
Right, that's spot on. And Meridian helps fill the blind spots that attribution can't see necessarily. We designed it to tackle some of these modern digital environments and the challenges that are plaguing users today, focusing on three key innovations. And the first is really about making measurement easier and bringing your sources of truth together. So, uh, Meridian enables this by allowing you to fine tune your MMM with real world incrementality testing. So if you're using conversion lift, you can actually feed that result directly into your MMM, making that an easier connection and grounding your model in real world evidence. The second key innovation that we launched with was native support for reach and frequency metrics, which allows you to accurately capture the impact of upper funnel video campaigns. We know that each impression is not necessarily equal. So we're accounting for the number of people that you're reaching and also the frequency at which you're reaching them. So you can find the right sweet spot of the ideal frequency per user. And then the last innovation is the ability to isolate organic demand. So with the introduction of GQV or Google Query Volume, this helps you measure channels that are highly correlated with sales in a data driven way. So this enables you to better isolate the organic consumer demand and ensures your models actually understand what's driving that incremental growth.
That all makes sense, and I think from a high level perspective, I think people get it. But if you had to distill this down for our listeners, the folks who they're at their desks actually listening to this right now, or they're on their commute maybe. What are the top selling points? They may already be doing some of this, but so why should an advertiser care about using Meridian over what they're doing today?
Yeah, that's a great question, Corey. I would say for me, it really comes down to three key letters: ROI, or return on investment. Ultimately, you want to justify your budget and make data-backed spend decisions. And that's always like the hardest part of any job. And Meridian really helps you distinguish between incremental sales and baseline sales.
Can you break down incremental sales versus baseline sales for us?
Yeah, so baseline sales are basically the conversions that you were going to get anyway from, say, like brand loyalty, word of mouth, or just time of year. On the other hand, incremental sales are those conversions driven strictly because you showed somebody an ad. So what was the causal impact of your marketing? Data-driven attribution often, I would say, credits an ad, even if a customer would have bought the product regardless. So the power of Meridian is to really separate those out so you know the true, pure value of your media spend.
Yeah, and I'll add that it's about completing what we call the modern measurement trifecta. So Meridian isn't meant to live in a vacuum or operate completely in isolation. It's really this mature marketing framework that you can use to accomplish your long-term high level decisions around channel level budgeting decisions. But you'll still use attribution for your day to day campaign tweaks, and you'll still use real world incrementality experiments to test these hypotheses, validating the results of your MMM, and then feeding them back into your model to calibrate it and make it smarter over time.
Katie, can you paint me a picture of how someone in the C-suite would actually use this trifecta? So, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a media director. How does this help me decide whether I want to move a massive budget? Let's say I have, I don't know, $5 million, from brand awareness to direct response.
Yeah, well, without the trifecta, that $5 million decision is often based on gut feeling or last click attribution, which can heavily bias towards direct response and leave some signals out of the picture. Direct response always looks like the hero because it captures the click right before the sale. But with Meridian acting as your sort of advanced planner, the CMO can see the true incremental effect. So Meridian might actually reveal that your brand spend is driving 15% lift in the effectiveness of your direct response campaigns down the line. So if you cut that 5 million from brand to juice your short-term numbers, your overall DR efficiency or direct response efficiency crashes 3 months later. So you use the attribution to optimize the direct response ads daily, but you'll rely on Meridian to make sure you don't accidentally starve the top of your funnel, or make decisions that are going to hurt you in the long run.
Got it. And what you're both saying here, how you're both explaining this, it really does make a lot of sense. But I do want to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Anything finance related, it comes with a healthy dose of skepticism. Why should a CMO or CFO, why should they trust Google, an advertising network, to tell them how to allocate their marketing budget? It sounds like a bit, like we're grading our own homework in this case.
Yeah, I love that you asked that, Corey, because we asked ourselves the same question when we were building this tool. And the answer is like we aren't asking for blind trust. That's why we made Meridian open source. And that was super intentional when we were designing the product, because we know that anything coming from Google will have that extra perception. And we wanted to give users the opportunity to look under the hood and validate for themselves that they believe in the methodology as we do, and that there's sort of nothing nefarious going on here.
Yeah, plus one to what Katie just said, and I'd say there's really no black box here. Unlike proprietary models where you just put your data in and cross your fingers and hope that the output's unbiased. Meridian lives on GitHub. You don't have to trust me. Your data science team can audit every single line of the code, so they can basically investigate exactly how the math works and verify it for themselves.
Yeah, and mathematically, Meridian uses a Bayesian approach. So that's a highly technical way of saying you can bring your own truth to the model, like we've mentioned a few times with incrementality tests. So you don't have to rely solely on correlations or a single platform's attribution tracking. This is a way for you to take your real domain knowledge and feed it into a model and run it completely within your own environment. So you can build it in a way that you trust and feel confident about.
Got it. So we're not saying take Google's word for it. We're saying that you can anchor your model based on your own proven data, and you can do it all with an open source application. So we're ensuring there's no bias from Google in this application.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say this is basically radical transparency. So Meridian's giving us that unified, privacy-safe, and unbiased view to help us find our budget headroom, separating the true incremental lift from baseline sales and doing it all in an open source, verifiable way.
I feel like I get it. I feel like I understand it for the most part. But to someone who isn't a data scientist, someone who doesn't have experience with MMMs, this all sounds like it could be pretty intimidating. What about like easy to use solutions for marketers, media directors, maybe a podcast host? This year Meridian was really front and center at GML, and I know we announced a bunch of new, more accessible products. Maybe we can talk about those.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, Corey. We launched Meridian a year ago almost, or a little over a year ago now, as an open source framework for our most advanced technical users like data scientists. And that first year was really focused on scaling it out to the community and seeing how it impacted the industry. And we've really shifted our focus now on making Meridian more accessible to the everyday marketer because we know the same problems are sort of plaguing everyone. And that's where now we're surfacing Meridian into a few different product offerings, which you heard at GML. And one of the ways we're starting that is with its integration within Google Analytics 360. So we're putting Meridian's core methodology into GA 360 to create a turnkey MMM-based budgeting solution designed specifically for that, for marketers. And the goal is to dramatically lower this barrier to entry that's been users have faced across the MMM industry for so long. So you don't need to be a data scientist to get these insights about where my next dollar will be most effective. And since it's built into GA360, it leverages the behavioral data that you've already collected about your customer journeys on your sites and apps. And this integration will make it less time consuming and less complex in terms of uh, piping in the right data and having to clean it yourself and actually building the model yourself. All of that is done by Google on the back end. So really the work on the user is just to connect your data sources, make sure you have enough robust data, and we're sort of doing the modeling work for you on the back end, and then putting front and center budgeting tools to help you interact with the results of the model and find the best budget allocation across channels that helps you meet your goals.
Yeah, that plus one to everything Katie just said. And I would also add the real benefit is really just getting those crucial cross-channel ROI insights and budget optimization recommendations with greater speed and basically less heavy lifting. So that helps to answer the big questions like, how much should I invest in each channel without a massive months-long project?
And this is just one piece of the puzzle, right? For teams looking for more customization and control at scale, we now have Meridian Studio, which was also just announced at GML. What does this product really solve for?
Yeah, so GML is a super exciting day for all things Meridian. And as advertiser demand for more scalable and flexible measurement solutions continues to grow, Google is evolving our Meridian offerings to support this broader range of customer needs and workflows. And so Meridian Studio is Google's new enterprise platform built on Google Cloud that empowers teams to build and manage Meridian models at scale, now with greater speed and easier flexibility. It's an additive offering to our open source model, which we remain fully committed to and will continue to invest in heavily in terms of methodology innovations and improvements to the underlying model that powers these different products. But with Studio, you maintain the control and execution in a privacy safe, trusted environment while having easier to use and access tooling to make Meridian more accessible. And with BigQuery supporting the underlying data storage and linking, Meridian Studio makes it easier to configure, collaborate, and iterate on models at this enterprise scale that we know a lot of our customers are operating at. And at the same time, Data Studio helps teams visualize these outputs and apply those insights downstream. So you can share your Meridian outputs directly with marketing teams for them to run different scenarios and budget optimizations. At least at the start, participation for 2026 will be slightly limited for Meridian Studio in our initial pilot period, but we really look forward to hearing everyone's feedback, and everyone can stay up to date on sort of all things Meridian and what's to come with Studio by subscribing to our newsletter on the Meridian website. So maybe just to sum it up, open source Meridian still remains Google's most customizable MMM foundation and sort of this horizontal engine for innovation. But Meridian Studio complements that foundation as Google's cloud powered platform that helps our sophisticated in house teams and partners more easily customize and manage these high volume of models at scale. And then lastly, GA360 or Google Analytics 360 is for those digital first customers who want to leverage rich MMM insights without having to build the model themselves. So this evolution really reflects Google's sort of broader investment in modern measurement to help advertisers act more easily on MMM insights.
Yeah, I really want to say that I think agentic is kind of the word of the year for 2026. So I really want to double click on those features within Meridian Studio. So I'd say, managing and optimizing marketing spend is really complex, especially when you get to that enterprise scale. So to really help teams seamlessly navigate the entire end-to-end MMM lifecycle, the team's building native agentic capabilities directly into the Meridian Studio platform. So, for example, we know that data quality often consumes the majority of an MMM project's lifecycle and really can cause a lot of major headaches down the line. So, let's say like you're in that preliminary exploratory data analysis phase. If a data slice, let's say it fails a quality check, the integrated agent will actually summarize the issue directly for you instantly and provide suggested fixes. So this will basically help you turn complex data wrangling into a seamless process. And you can also dive into the details through a conversational chat to easily ask, follow-up questions, or again, simply have the agents resolve the issues for you. And let's say once your data is set and your models successfully converge, that agentic support shifts to validation. So, Meridian Studio generates a comprehensive output report featuring, a rigorous model health summary. And the Meridian agent will also proactively suggest actions that you can take to improve your overall model quality. So you basically have complete control over how to proceed. You can address the issues manually, ask the agent a follow-up question to learn more, or just let the agent resolve them for you with a single click. And then lastly, I would say, measurements only really useful if it helps you drive strategy. So, combined with ROI and incremental outcome data, you can leverage the agent to interpret complex results, run complex optimizations, or generate actionable budget plans tailored exactly to your business objectives. So to translate those insights into immediate business strategy, it connects seamlessly with our scenario planner. So this allows you to produce straightforward plans that you can hand directly to a CMO or CFO.
Plus one to everything. Sorry, Corey, I just
No, go
wanted
ahead.
to add something there. I just plus one to everything Jeff said. I think the high level goal with what we're adding in terms of agentic functionality is just to make it easier for customers to do this really complicated process that we know exists for everyone. So we're looking at where we can introduce automation and these agentic capabilities to do more of that work for you, but the user is still maintaining all control in that case and sort of authorizing the agent to act as its data science assistant on behalf of them so that they can spend more time on the high level strategy and decision making.
That sounds so cool. The agentic capabilities, they sound super powerful. I love, Katie, the way you said it. This is an assistant. This is a tool that is being used to assist in the analysis or the understanding of this data, of your data. It's not something that you're going to give full access and say, okay, go run with it. Go, you determine the model now. So that from an agentic perspective, that sounds super powerful, and it sounds like it's going to be really useful. But there's another open source solution that we just released as well, right? Meridian GeoX. How does that fit into the ecosystem?
Yeah, it's really exciting to announce Meridian GeoX as our new open source geo-based incrementality solution. We know it's really imperative for marketers to understand what's really working with these causal signals. So to get that full picture, we know you need to factor these multiple signals together, which is why we're adding Meridian GeoX to the portfolio.
Yeah, I'd say, GeoX, it really helps you seamlessly calibrate Meridian with clear signals so you can see precisely where your marketing is driving incremental growth by running single and multi-cell cost-effective experiments. And with this approach and our open source code base, I'd also say it reduces any perceived platform bias. So the whole idea is to really give you a defensible ground truth understanding of any campaign performance that you can confidently rely on.
I have a question actually about that truth. So, Katie, going back to something you mentioned earlier about the measurement trifecta and about bringing your own truth to the model via priors. If Meridian is the macro level planner, how do we actually get that rock solid ground truth to make sure it's accurate? How do we prove that a special channel is genuinely causing sales rather than just correlating with them?
Yeah, you want to see that evidence, and that's why you run experiments. It's tough for observational data alone to provide the full picture, which is why we built Meridian to enable users to feed in these incrementality experiments directly into the model as priors. And now we're evolving that and making it way easier with the introduction of Meridian GeoX. So you can use Meridian GeoX on its own as a geo-based incrementality solution, and then you can take those results and feed them right into the Meridian model to calibrate your model and make it smarter, and so to speak. And then you can also use the experiments to validate what the MMM is saying.
Yeah, we can really think of GeoX here as the calibration engine for Meridian. So it really allows you to execute precise, cost-effective geographic experiments using either single cell or multi-cell designs. By comparing test markets against your statistically matched control regions, you isolate the exact incremental lift of your media spend.
Yeah, Meridian will also help fuel your GeoX experiments because it will proactively suggest channels from your MMM that would benefit the most from an incrementality experiment. And that will make this connection point way easier going from MMM to GeoX as well. So you basically get the diagnostics of where to look further. And then once you have that result, like I mentioned, you sort of feed it back into Meridian, and it feeds this flywheel of experimentation, which is where Meridian GeoX can really meaningfully contribute to your Meridian model.
Yeah, crucially, we take that same radical transparency approach with GeoX as we do with the open source MMM library. So, again, your data science team can fully audit the methodology and the code. It provides a rigorous, defensible proof of performance across any channel that you can confidently present to your CMO or CFO.
I mean, moving from correlation to causation, it's a massive step forward. How are folks going to be able to get their hands on this? When can they get started?
Yeah, so we're excited to say that closed beta testing has officially kicked off and the product is in the hands of customers. But we're targeting general availability later this year. And I'm really excited to hear everyone's feedback.
That's really exciting. Katie, Jeff, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. There's a lot to be excited about here. I'm going to let you both get back to it. Thanks again. And thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks so much, Corey. It's been a pleasure to talk about all things Meridian, and we just can't wait to get these products out to all of our customers and hear what everyone has to say. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. Definitely a huge pleasure to be here today.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that I'm putting any links that we talked about today into the description of this video. I highly recommend anyone who watched this today, go check out Meridian, go check out the links, see how it's going to fit your needs, see how it's going to meet the needs of your business. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Please like, subscribe, leave comments. Remember the survey. And as always, thank yous for tuning in. See you next time on As a DevCast.